Hello and welcome back to
Hello.
another episode 2 of Bibleverse Voyage, discovering God's Word. So the first episode, I went through some information. I'm not really gonna go through it today again. Or you think I should go through it again?
I thought there were a couple slides you would go through. Maybe not all of them.
Right. Okay. So last episode we went through one side with with that go through. So basically how we're going to go about going through today or studying the Bible every time we go through the Bible is picking a translation. For us, it's the Christian Standard Version, formerly known as the Roman Christian Standard Version. Then you want to pick a time, a place to study. And then as you go through the Bible, you want to read it slow. You want to ask questions. The questions we will be asking is there a sin to avoid? Is there a promise to proclaim? Is there an example to follow? A commandment to obey? And something to know about God? So all of those questions might not be answered, which is okay. And then some of them is on the flip side. It's a promise that you might not want to claim, but it's, a promise you will have to, accept anyway. Or a commandment you will have to accept whether you want to or not. And then you want to understand the context. So most of that will come into place more as you start a new book. Sometimes some Bibles will then, have something before each chapter, basically explain what that chapter is about. So basically, for that, you want to know who wrote it, to whom it was written, and then what is its purpose. So we're in the book of Genesis. So the purpose of the book of Genesis is just to give you basically the genealogy of how the world started and how, as mankind, we got into the situation we find ourselves in today. So, yeah. And then, before you start reading, you want to, pray, ask God to speak to you, and then ask Him to show you, how that word can apply to your life nowadays. Yeah. So we will be starting at what, 5? Chapter 5? Or did we read chapter 5?
I think we're starting at 6.
We're starting at 6. Oh, okay, because we read up
We
to
read through 5.
up to 5. All right. So basically, we're going to read 5 chapters. The book of Genesis has 50 chapters. So we're then going to evenly divide those within 5s. So yeah. So chapter 6, Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. Sons of God and daughters.
Do our prayer.
Mistake. Yeah. And then we'll also pray before we dive in. Do you want to take it this time? Or?
Sure. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be able to come before you and read your word. May we display and present the message that you want us to present. May we understand and help others to understand. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. All right, let's dive in.
When mankind began to multiply on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of mankind were beautiful, and they took any they chose as wives for themselves. And the Lord said, My spirit will not remain with mankind forever, because they are corrupt. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth both in those days and afterward, when the sons of God came to the daughters of mankind who bore children to them. They were the powerful men of old, the famous men. When the Lord saw that the human wickedness was widespread on the earth, and that every inclination of the human mind was nothing but evil all the time, the Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth, and he was deeply grieved. Then the Lord said, I will wipe mankind, whom I created, off the face of the earth, together with the animals, creatures that crawl, and birds of the sky, for I regret that I made them. Noah, however, found favor with the Lord. These are the family records of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among his contemporaries. Noah walked with God, and Noah fathered 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with wickedness. God saw how corrupt the earth was, for every creature had corrupted its way on the earth. Then God said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to every creature, for the earth is filled with wickedness because of them. Therefore I am going to destroy them along with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it with pitch inside and outside. This is how you are to make it. The ark will be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. You are to make a roof, finishing the sides of the ark to within 18 inches of the roof. You are to put a door in the side of the ark. Make it with lower, middle, and upper decks. Understand that I am bringing a flood waters on the earth to destroy every creature under heaven with the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish, but I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark with your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives. You are also to bring into the ark 2 of all the living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of everything, from the birds according to their kinds, from the livestock according to their kinds, and from the animals that crawl on the ground according to their kinds, will come to you so that you can keep them alive. Take with you every kind of flood that is eaten, every kind of food that is eaten. Gather it as food for you and for them. And Noah did this. He did everything that God had commanded him. That's chapter 6.
All right. I almost forgot this time. I turned it on. I almost forgot to turn it back up. So, we're going into chapter 7 so far. Is there a sin to avoid?
All the sins they were doing on the earth that made God say, I want to destroy the earth.
Right. Which other than, the angels, having sex with the earthly women, they don't really mention what they was doing, but I'm assuming they had to be wilding.
Oh, for sure. Had to be.
They had to be wilding.
Yeah. He regretted that he made the earth. They had to be wilding.
They had to be wilding. And what was they doing, bro? It's crazy.
We want to know. Don't know if we want to know.
Part of me want to.
Of course.
Because, in the further chapters, when you get to the line of David, they was like, what I'm saying, something at one point they was like, y'all doing worse than anybody has ever done. I gotta, so does that mean they was doing worse than what this generation was doing? Because this one they was supposed to be murdered. Well, they did, but what was y'all doing? And then is there a promise to claim, on which there's no promise yet? An example to follow would be Noah, because if it wasn't for Noah, he would have started. He would have hit that reset button. If it was not for Noah finding favor in God's eyes.
And I kind of feel like the promise is that he's going to keep him alive, going to keep him and his family
Right.
alive. He's not going to kill him. I promise that you and your family line will be okay. You will survive.
Yeah, if you build this boat, you
Right.
better build this boat, bro.
Do what I said.
I need you to build this boat. That's the only way. Is there a command to obey other than obeying God?
I think the specifics of the boat, God said, make the boat this high, this wide,
right,
this long.
which is a pretty huge boat.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a pretty big boat.
Because what if Noah didn't? What if Noah made it shorter than what God told him to make it?
Right. They would have been uncomfortable.
What God said.
And then is there something to know about God?
He's merciful, is what I would say. He spared Noah because Noah was righteous, and he spared Noah's family.
Yeah, he is a just God. He punishes people who need to be punished. I feel like nowadays we feel, that it may not be up to our standards. Like, they're not getting punished, or they're not punished enough. But
who says they're not punished enough?
Well, these people, they were. But,
yeah, they ultimate punishment,
But, you look at the world now and you see, all the wickedness that's in the world, I mean, like, why they still around,
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into that further as well in the book as we go along. But yeah, and then, the animals, all of the animals they came to Noah, which is also amazing that, even animals have a connection with the Creator to know that, hey, we gotta get to this boat. Mm-hmm. That you gotta realize most animals are probably afraid of humans, just like they are today. Mm-hmm. Most humans are afraid of some animals. You got certain animals rolling up on you. That's the last place you want to be, is on a boat with them. But they are heard from God, just like Noah heard from God, and they all had their assignments to complete in order for survival, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So let's enter the ark.
Chapter 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, enter the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation. You are to take with you 7 pairs, a male and its female, of all the clean animals, and 2 of the animals that are not clean, a male and its female. And 7 pairs, male and female, of the birds of the sky, in order to keep offspring alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will make it rain on the earth, 40 days and 40 nights. And every living thing I have made I will wipe off the face of the earth. And Noah did everything that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came and water covered the earth. So Noah, his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives entered the ark because of the flood waters. From the animals that are clean, and from the animals that are not clean, and from the birds and every creature that crawls on the ground, 2 of each, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark, just as God had commanded him. 7 days later, the flood waters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the sources of the vast watery depths burst open. The floodgates of the sky were open, and the rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that same day, Noah and his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, entered the ark, along with Noah's wives and his 3 sons' wives. They entered it all with all the wildlife according to all their kinds, all livestock according to their kinds, all the creatures that crawl on the earth according to their kinds, every flying creature, all the birds, and every winged creature according to their kinds. 2 of every bird and 2 of every creature that has the breath of life in it came to Noah and entered the ark. Those that entered, male and female, of every creature, entered just as God had commanded him. Then the Lord shut him in. The flood continued for 40 days on the earth. The water increased and lifted up the ark so that it rose above the earth. The water surged and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. Then the water surged even higher on the earth, and all the high mountains under the whole sky were covered. The mountains were covered as the water surged above them more than 20 feet. Every creature perished. Those that crawl on the earth, birds, livestock, wildlife, and those that swarm on the earth, as well as all mankind. Everything with the breath of the spirit of life in its nostrils, everything on dry land died. He wiped out every living thing that was on the face of the earth, from mankind to livestock, to creatures that crawl, to the birds of the sky, and they were wiped off the earth. Only Noah was left, and those that were with him in the ark. And the water surged on earth 150 days. And that is the end of chapter 7. Any of the questions?
So yeah, so far he hasn't sinned. You know, the commandment was, to build it, get your family, no one else. He didn't go tell him to grab his uncles, his aunties, no one else, just those that was basically in your house. You, your sons, and your sons' wives, put them on the boat. I think growing up, there was movies, because I grew up in church, being a pastor's kid. They make you watch these movies, that for kids that kind of predict different stories, and in those stories, the people would come around and mock Noah for building this boat and talking about rain. Apparently, the movies make it seem like they ain't never seen rain before. So, they ain't nobody worry about no rain. And then you building this boat for no reason in the middle of nowhere. And I believe some of those movies, he was trying to convince them about it. What I find interesting, because, the Bible never mentions Noah going out to get other people on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
But in some of the cartoons, they make it so that Noah is trying to save other people, but which was never, his thing to do. God didn't want no one else saved other than Noah and his family, So, you gotta be careful on which, you let kids watch, But I feel like they try to soften it a little bit, because they're kids, so they don't want to just put the whole just truth right there in front of a little kid, and it's like, trying to explain things to kids or whatever. So I guess they try to make it in a way that they can kind of understand, and then as they get older, just kind of, redirect the story to something that they can digest a little better, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I think. So yeah.
That's all for our questions.
I think so.
Okay. Chapter 8. God remembered Noah, as well as all the wildlife and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. God caused the wind to pass over the earth, and the water began to subside. The sources of the watery depths and the floodgates of the sky were closed, and the rain from the sky stopped. The water steadily receded from the earth, and by the end of 150 days, the water had decreased significantly. The ark came to rest in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. The water continued to recede until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, tops of the mountains were visible. After 40 days, Noah opened the windows of the ark that he had made, and he sent out a raven. It went back and forth until the water had dried up from the earth. Then he sent out a dove to see whether the water on the earth's surface had gone down. But the dove found no resting place for its foot. It returned to him in the ark, because water covered the surface of the whole earth. He reached out and brought it into the ark to himself. So Noah waited 7 more days and sent out the dove from the ark again. When the dove came back to him at evening, there was a plucked olive leaf in its beak. So Noah knew that the water on the earth's surface had gone down. After he had waited another 7 days, he sent out the dove, but it did not return to him again. In the 601st year, in the first month of the first day of the month, the water had covered the earth. The water that had covered the earth was dried up. Then Noah removed the ark's cover and saw that the surface of the ground was drying. By the 27th day of the second month, the earth was dry. Then God spoke to Noah, "Come out of the ark, you, your wife, your sons, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out all the living creatures that are with you, birds, livestock, those that crawl on the earth, and they will spread over the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." So Noah, along with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives, came out. All the animals, all the creatures that crawl, and all the flying creatures, everything that moves on the earth, came out of the ark by their families. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord. He took some of every kind of clean animal and every kind of clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. When the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, he said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of human beings, even though the inclination of the human heart is evil from youth onward. And I will never again strike down every living thing as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night will not cease." That is chapter 8.
All right. And that brings the second question: is there a promise to be claimed? And that is that God will never flood the earth again and wipe humanity off the face of the earth. That as long as we can endure, the earth shall still go, which is very important because there are tsunamis, there are floods, there are forest fires, there are many things that come up against different parts of the earth that that can be deadly, and there many people have lost their lives. But as long as the human body collectively can endure, the earth will still go on. So yeah, and then something to know about God is we've been on the earth for a significant long time, and it's just getting worse out there in the world, and no signs of a flood yet. So he is a God of his word.
Right.
So that's something to know about God. He is a God of his word.
He keeps his promises.
He does indeed.
Chapter 9. God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear and terror of you will be in every living creature on the earth." Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. "Every bird of the sky, every creature that crawls on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. They are placed under your authority. Every creature that lives and moves will be food for you. As I gave the green plants, I have given you everything. However, you must not eat meat with its lifeblood in it, and I will require a penalty for your lifeblood. I will require it from any animal and from any human. If someone murders a fellow human, I will require that person's life. Whoever sheds human blood, by humans his blood will be shed. For God made humans in his image. But you be fruitful and multiply, spread out over the earth and multiply on it. Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, understand that I am establishing my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, birds, livestock, and all the wildlife of the earth that are with you, all the animals of the earth that came out of the ark. I establish my covenant with you that never again will every creature be wiped out by flood waters. There will never again be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you, and every living creature with you, a covenant for all future generations. I have placed my bow in the clouds, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I form clouds over the earth, and the bow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you, and all the living creatures. Water will never again become a flood to destroy every creature. The bow will be in the clouds, and I will look at it and remember the permanent covenant between God and all the living creatures on earth. God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and every creature on earth. Noah's sons who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were Noah's sons, and from them the whole earth was populated. Noah, as a man of the soil, began by planting a vineyard. He drank some of the wine, became drunk, and uncovered himself inside the tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his two brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took a cloak and placed it over both their shoulders, and walking backward, they covered their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father naked. When Noah awoke from his drinking and learned what his youngest son had done to him, he said, Canaan is cursed. He will be the lowest of slaves to his brothers. He also said, blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. Let Canaan be Shem's slave. Let God extend Japheth. Let Japheth dwell in the tents of Shem. Let Canaan be Shem's slave. Now Noah lived 350 years after the flood. So Noah's life lasted 950 years, then he died. That is chapter 9.
So, the sign, which would be the rainbow, is God's sign that reminds him, that, no matter how wild the world may get and how defiant they get, that, that bow in the sky will be a reminder to not let the rain continue to wipe out all living creatures.
It's like a promise in that way. God says, I'm not ever going to do that again. And here is the sign for me as a reminder, and for you as well to look up and see.
Right. That he will not flood the entire earth, but that don't mean that he will not flood the city. So keep that in mind, Keep that in mind. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He won't wipe out the whole world, but don't mean he won't wipe out a certain section. It's, he never said he wasn't going to wipe out anything. He just said he wasn't going to wipe out everything. So, be vigilant, people. Be vigilant. All right.
There was a sin.
Huh?
There was a sin.
Right. So that would be the uncovering of the father's nakedness by Cain, right? That's his name, right?
Canaan.
Canaan.
also known as Ham, right? Is Ham? Yeah, Ham, the father of Canaan. He sinned by seeing his father's nakedness.
Right. But
or uncovering his father's nakedness.
So Noah's sons are
Shem,
Ham, and Japheth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then
Ham is the father of Canaan.
Right. So then we go down. Well, Japheth saw his father naked and told his two brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took the cloak and placed over both of their shoulders, and walking backwards, they covered their father's nakedness. He was turned away. So yeah, so I guess we will have to figure out. So if they're talking about Noah, right? Because, they said that Shem and Japheth came to cover up their father, which would be Noah, but that's not his.
I think that's just a name for him, another name for him, another title. Because I think he went on to later father. He originated the Canaanite people. So he's the father of the Canaanites, I think is what they're saying. But his name is Ham.
We're going to circle back around. We just go on it there, and we go circle back around.
I think 10 is going to clear it up a little bit for you. So the table of nations. These are the family records of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They also had sons after the flood. Okay. Japheth's sons, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. Gomer's sons, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. And Javan's sons, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, Dodanim. From these descendants, the people of the coast and islands spread out into their lands according to their clans, and their nations according with its own language. Ham's sons, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Cush's sons, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Raamah, and Sapteca. And Raamah's sons, Sheba and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod, who began to be powerful in the land. He was a powerful hunter in the sight of the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a powerful hunter in the sight of the Lord. His kingdom started with Babylon, Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar. From that land, he went to Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehobothar, Calah, and Rezin, between Nineveh and the great city Calah. Mizraim fathered the people of Lud, Anam, Lahab, Naphtah, Pathrus, Kazlah. The Philistines came from them, and Caphtor. Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, as well as the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, and the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamatharites. Afterward, the Canaanite clans scattered. The Canaanite border went from Sidon toward Gerar as far as Gaza, and going toward Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha. These are the These are Ham's sons by their clans, according to their languages and their lands and their nations. And Shem, Japheth's older brother, also had sons. Shem was the father of all the sons of Eber. Shem's sons were Elam, Asher, Arpachshed, Lud, and Aram. Aram's sons, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arpachshed fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. Eber had 2 sons. One was named Peleg, for during his days the earth was divided. His brother was Joktan, and Joktan fathered Almadad, Shaleth, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzel, Diklo, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were Joktan's sons. Their settlements extended from Mesha to Sephir, the eastern hill country. These are Shem's sons by their clans, according to their languages and their lands and their nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons, according to their family records and their nations, the nations on earth spread out from these after the flood. Man, those names.
Crazy names, bro.
They get me every time. I've been trying so hard. I got these little tiny pronunciations in here trying to say them right, and I'm sure I'm still messing them up, and I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Crazy names. All right. So in my footnotes, okay, because I have a study Bible, so they give me some footnotes for better understanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to circle back around, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So answering the questions, is there a command to obey? Not yet. He hasn't really laid one. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Because he was talking about basically having dominion over our creatures, but
I don't know if the previous chapter.
I don't know if I want to put that in. That's not really a command.
I think it's more of a promise.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out when did that end, because you scared of snakes, Yeah.
He said that. He said that was gonna be that we was gonna fear them and they was gonna bite our heel. We was gonna stomp their heads.
When I was a kid, I hated grasshoppers. Swear these things ended.
I mean, he still gives us dominion over them. I just have a worldly fear of snakes because I fear them. That's not up to God. That's because of me. I fear worms, and they're way smaller than I am.
But I also feel like if I was to confront a lion, I wonder if he'd listen to me. I don't think
better have if God by your side.
Yeah.
That's the only way he could listen to you.
I don't think it's gonna work. I think I'm gonna be like Peter when he asked to walk on water with God, and I realized, hold on, this is a lion, and then I'm gonna be scared. So to circle back around, and which then answers question number 1: is there a sin to avoid? So according to my footnotes here, but same like we pray, we want to pray for understanding and for God to reveal things to us. So if you can take the footnote by face value, or you can read the footnote and then get better understanding by praying and allowing God to then answer if this footnote is, that's what went down. You got footnotes?
I have little notes that say, Egypt and all of them, Canaan, fathered.
All right. So according to my footnote, the Hebrew word for nakedness would be basically a immoral act, or basically doing something from an immoral behavior, shameful nakedness,
like perversion,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which also can be used for sex. When we get further in the Bible, it tells you, don't don't have sex with your cousin, because that's so and so's nakedness.
Yeah, don't reveal your aunt's nakedness.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the scholars believe that the statement that Ham was the father of, what's his name?
Canaan.
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 And the fact that Noah then cursed him would be because they believe that he did something in a immoral behavior towards his grandfather while he was intoxicated. And then his father, which would be Ham, did not teach him and basically allowed him to do these acts. So I guess he didn't guide him in the way that he should have been geared growing up to have his, a godly character. So basically he didn't stop him from having these sinful thoughts and stuff like that. So then the blame then goes to Ham, because he is then the father of the son who did the impure act to his grandfather. According to this, I've also seen a video that explains it in a sense that like it will reveal as we go deeper after Exodus, when God lays down the law and he tells you, don't have sex with your sister because that's your father's nakedness. Don't have sex with your mother's daughter because that's your father's wife's nakedness. If you take it from that aspect, then it would be that it wasn't against Noah, but against Noah's wife, which would then be Canaan's grandmother. In that sense. Or it could have been, someone else.
I think that just made things very confusing for our listeners here. I think they just get confused.
According to the term of seeing his nakedness, will then identify or can be related to either seeing or doing something inappropriate to Noah himself, or doing something inappropriate to his grandmother.
My whole thing, where I get confusion is, I've always thought it was Ham that did this to his father. And they're just saying like Ham is the father of Canaan.
Right. But another one that I've came across was that Ham was the one who uncovered his father's nakedness by sleeping with his mother, which then gave birth to Canaan.
Okay. It's too many. It's too many different theories.
There's some theories out there.
I would say just, read this at your own pace, read it over, pray about it for understanding, because it's a lot of theories.
It's a lot of theories, and there's a lot of direction you can go with it, because they really don't specify what actually happened.
Yeah.
All we know that as you read the Bible, the word uncovering someone's nakedness is usually connected with an sexual act. So that's where all of these theories then kind of spring from. So what I would suggest is there's two ways you could go about it. Seek God, get understanding on what exactly happened, or don't let it bother you. Me personally, I don't really think too much about it. I do realize that uncovering someone's nakedness later in the Bible, when it's brought up again, correlates with some type of sexual act. So, you can either take it as that something inappropriate happens, and that's what got him in that situation with Noah, or if you really care to that depth, then pray about it, seek God, ask God to reveal it, and then if he feel like it's necessary to be revealed, he will then reveal it. If not, move on. It's a passage that in the grand scheme of religion really don't make or break. It's just knowledge. Like I said, Genesis is just to get a understanding of how we got to where we are now, and that act was important enough to put in there to understand where the lineage then falls at. So as you read the Bible, you'll hear about the Canaanites and stuff like that, and then you'll get a better understanding of how they got to their situation, because of their ancestors and stuff like that.
Get their origins there a little bit, and then later on we go on to delve into the other things they are doing, or
right. And when they bring up what what people are serving what God, all right, well that comes from such and such line, from Noah's kids. So it makes sense, because they started off on bad foot.
Yeah.
Then it's interesting to know where they settled down at, because there still might be remnants of what civilization was there. They still might have um, deities that they done set up, altars that they done constructed to worship other gods. And then you have these people who decide to then settle in this location, and because I think they went through the original before the flood, and their little bloodline of where they settled down at. So, kind of piece things together. They might have had all intentions to serve God, but then they settled in a place that still had all these wickedness attached to it, and then they didn't remove it. So, later in the book, that kind of helps you understand how they got where they got.
Yeah. Next session will be the Tower of Babylon. That's where we will start, chapter 11, and all the things that come with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting chapter, Tower of Babel. But yeah, so thank y'all for tuning in again, and we will see y'all on episode number 3.
Thank you.